All right, so congruent triangles. So what we have here are triangles that have the same size and shape. All right, so if things are congruent, they have the same size and shape. And this means that all the corresponding parts, in other words, the parts of a triangle, which would be the sides and the angles, are congruent. So a congruency statement is your key to everything. It is kind of like the legend on a map that will tell you how everything works. So we can write a congruency statement when triangles are congruent, and our tick marks and our little arcs will correspond. So you see AB is a side, it's got one tick mark. ED is a side that also has one tick mark. Angle A and angle D, both with one tick marks, match up. Same thing with C and F, and you can just keep going from there, right? So the biggest thing that I want you to see in this is you don't even need the diagram. You can look at this congruency statement right here, and it will tell you everything. We know that angle A is congruent with angle D. Well, look at this. A is in the very beginning, D is in the very beginning. It matches up like that. Same thing with B and E, same thing with C and F. Also, we have the sides of AB with one tick mark and ED or DE with two tick marks. So there's AB and there's DE. It works with all of these. If you want the side CA, that corresponds with the side FD. And you can just look at the congruency statement. You don't even need the diagram for that. So pretty cool, and just understand that when we're talking about this, congruency statements are your key to everything. So with the next section right here, we have CPCTC. So you're probably wondering, what the heck does that mean? So this is corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. And that's just a way to say, hey, if we know that two triangles are congruent, the corresponding parts, or whichever parts match up, are also going to be congruent. So we're going to list all the congruent angles and sides. For the angles, we have angle J, angle K, and angle L here. Well, we know that those are congruent to the corresponding ones in the triangle PQR. So J is first, so that goes with angle P. K is second, so that goes with angle Q. L is third, that goes with angle R. We can do the same thing with the sides. We can say JK, KL, and JL. And those will be congruent with PQ, QR, and PR. So again, we're just matching them up in order of the congruency statement. So we can write another congruency statement and just switch around the order for this one. So what if I went backwards? What if I went LKJ, triangle LKJ? Well, I went right to left, so I need to do the same thing for this one. So LKJ would be congruent with triangle RQP. So pretty easy concept once you get it, and we'll kind of apply it to all sorts of other stuff. So for number 3 here, you don't even need the diagram. I am going to label the diagram, but I want you to know that if we're looking for KM, AC, boom, you already got it. If you're looking for CY, MP, right? So we really don't even need this diagram, but I'm going to draw it just for reference. So for KP, we'll put one tick mark, that'll be with AY. For PM, we'll put two tick marks, that'll be with YC. And for KM, that will go with AC, 3 tick marks. All right, and then for your angles, K will have 1, so that means A has 1. P will have 2, so that means Y will have 2. And M will have 3, so that means C will have 3. Again, we don't even need to look at it, but that's just hopefully to help you out. So PK would be YA. Angle Y is in the middle, goes with angle P. Angle K is first, it goes with angle A. And now we have an angle ACY. So there is a difference between the angle ACY right here, and a whole triangle, right? So angle ACY would go with angle KMP. And then triangle MPK is just backwards. That will go with triangle CIA. And YAC would go with PKM. All right, so we can do that exact same thing. Number 3 was just with the labels and the names of the sides and angles. So now we're going to actually apply it to sides and angles where we have the measures. So BN will go with SW. So we look at SW, and that is 9 centimeters. TW goes with FN, and that will be 14 centimeters. And then BF goes with ST, and that would be 17 centimeters. All right, the measure of angle W matches up with N, so that will be 82 degrees. The measure of angle B matches up with S, that will be 67 degrees. And lastly, the measure of angle F, well, that's the measure of angle T, but we don't have the measure of angle T. However, we do know that this is 82 degrees, and then 82 plus 67, we could subtract that from 180 to find 31 degrees, since all the angles in a triangle add up to 180. Now, when it comes to angle 5, this is the isosceles triangle and equilateral lesson that we had before. So we know that both of these are 27 feet, and we know that, let's just kind of go from there. So GJ would match up with XZ, and that would be 18 feet. And then if we're looking for XY and YZ, they match up with GH and HJ, which are both 27 feet, since this is isosceles. Now, the thing we know about an isosceles triangle is that its opposite angles are congruent. So we have 38 degrees for Y. That's going to match up with H. But then we can take that and subtract it from 180 and then divide it by 2. So when you subtract from 180, it'll be 142. And then divide it by 2, and that will be 71 degrees for both of those. All right, I'm going to skip 6 and go on to 7 to kind of help you out here. All we're trying to do is find the values of X, Y, and Z. So first off, looking at X, that is with angle H. Angle H matches up with N. So I know that 6x minus 29 will be equivalent to angle N's measure, which is 115. So then I'll take that, I'll add 29, and that'll give me 144. And X will give me 24. All they're trying to do is find X so we don't have to plug it back in. For Y, we have F, which is 3y minus 1, and F is congruent to S, but we don't know S just yet. So what we can do is we can take this 24. Well, actually, no, let's take 115. We know that H is 115. So 115 plus 36, we'll add those together and then subtract that from 180, and we are left with 29 degrees. So we know that this is 29 right here. So we'll add 1, divide by 3. Y gives us 10. And then lastly, we have 4z minus 32, which is C, and that matches up with P, and we know that P is 36. So we'll add those together. That will give us 68. And when you divide that, that'll give you 17. All right, so lastly, I did the angles for 7. I'll do the sides, and I'll do 8. So if they don't give you a diagram, you need to draw one. And just be very careful with the way you label them. Okay, so I would suggest if you label this D, E, F, and say you go in this order, D, E, F, then I would suggest you do the exact same for the next one. Don't switch it up and do something like this, right? You're just going to get yourself confused. Go in that exact same order, J, K, L, right? So you're moving counterclockwise. It doesn't matter which order you do it in, as long as they are corresponding. So for DE, you have 18, EF, 23, DF is 9x minus 23. For JL, we have 7x minus 11, JK, 3y minus 21, and we don't have KL, but we know that KL is the same as EF, so that's 23, but that's not really what we're focused on. We're just trying to find the values of X and Y. So for DF, we have or DF right here is congruent with JL. So we're going to do 9x minus 23 is equal to JL, which is 7x minus 11. That will be 2x and 12. So x will equal 6. And then we will do y, which would be 3y minus 21, and that is congruent to DE, which is 18. We'll add 21 to that, divide by 3, that gives us 13. So there are congruent triangles. You don't have to worry about the other two. You can move on to the homework. And if you got any questions,